1.6 Registration of Press and Periodicals Bill. So, this topic is in news because recently the government has introduced a bill of revising the old Press and Registration of Books Act 1867. Let's know about the Press and Registration of Books Act 1867. So, here it all started with the Censorship of Press Act 1799, which was introduced by Lord Wellesley to stop or limit the press. It was again reintroduced in 1818 by Lord Hastings, and John Adams enacted the Licensing Regulation Ordinance in the year 1823, and later on Governor General Metcalfe abolished the Licensing Regulation Ordinance and replaced with the Press Act 1835. Later on, the Licensing Act of 1857 brought the newspapers, printed material, and all books under the law. Later on, the Press and Registration of Books Act 1867 is still related to 1857's British government thoughts. So this was introduced. The Press and Registration of Books Act was introduced in 1867 and still it is continuing till date. So this act helped the government in controlling the press, regulating books publishing, and also limiting the freedom of speech and expression. So every day, each copies of newspaper should be delivered to the government and the press registrar, who is appointed by the central government. And in every paper or every book, name of the printer and publisher, place of printing and publication should be mentioned. All these are the rules maintained in the Press and Registration of Books Act 1867. Now the government has introduced a bill for amending this act, and the reason for such regulation is, the first thing is to stop the spread of fake news. Next is to make the media accountable and responsible for their violations. And the next is to simplify the procedures related to registration and compliance of new media. And the fourth one is to bring uniformity in regulation and provide equal laws to print and digital media. So the salient features of the draft bill are: first is, the main objective of this bill is to bring the digital media under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. If the bill is passed, then the digital news media should get registered with the Press Registrar General within 90 days. If the bill is passed, the government will get the power to act against the digital publications for violation and can also suspend or cancel the registrations and can also impose penalties on them. This act simplifies the registration process of the digital media by introducing a simple system of registration, that is e-registration. And the next is, the central government and the state government will get the authority to frame rules for issuing the government advertisements in newspaper. And under this bill, they formed an appellate board which is called the Press and Registration Appellate Board, with a chairman, Press Council of India, and one nominated member from its members. And the decisions made by the Press and Registration Appellate Board are binding and final. So all these are the features of this act. Now, there are also still some problems with this bill. The first thing is, look at this box here. The rules of registration of digital media is unclear. This is the first issue. And the second issue is, if the media is convicted under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967, then their publications are prohibited. This is another issue. And the third one is the press general is not autonomous. So, next is this bill is acting against the freedom of publication by mandatory registration of all news on digital media. Thus, the freedom of speech and expression, freedom of press, and protecting the well being of the people should be balanced.